Hi, everybody.
Hello, welcome.
Hi. Let's get
Come
the
on
sound.
in.
There we go.
Say hello if you have a chance.
Hello.
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 We have a nice intimate group today, which I quite like.
Mhm.
Then we can, then we can really exchange ideas and information. So I'm not complaining about that. And as you guys come in, we are recording this. So you can watch it again or you can share it.
I'll turn video on.
Sure.
You're gonna be in it.
Yeah,
What?
we love having your video on so that we can see you.
Oh, sorry, I did. I thought I muted. Hi.
Hi. I mean, at some point, we're probably going to ask for you to mute yourself. But for now, might as well come in and say hello. And then we can get started.
Whoops. Let's see if I know what. There we go. Okay.
Okay. Looks like we have pretty much everybody's in, Patty.
Well, everybody that's here so far is in.
Okay. So I tell you what, let me go ahead and I'm going to get my presentation going and share my screen. There we go. So this webinar, welcome to our webinar today, which is Fractional Ownership Right for You. And now that I'm getting started and we're recording, you might want to go ahead and mute yourself just so we don't hear your background noise. Okay. What's going to happen is I'm going to go through this presentation, and then at the end we'll have a Q&A and we'll be able to, have an open discussion. So the photograph you're seeing here happens to be taken from our newest fractional ownership property called Le Jardin de la Promenade. And it is directly on the Promenade des Anglais in Nice. And that is taken from its own private garden. So it's a very sweet property. And we're going to be talking more about that later. But let's get into the nitty gritty here. So one of the first questions that I get asked very often about fractional ownership is how it differs from timeshare. And the only real difference with timeshare is that with timeshare, you actually only own the time in a property. Whereas with fractional ownership, you actually own a portion of the property. And that's the key difference in the two. So, I understand it's easy to have a confusion. But a fractional ownership property is when any property is co-owned, could be by 2 people, could be by 100 people. So it really doesn't matter, but it's still considered a fractional ownership. And if you guys know some of the history of this, it started with planes, with, corporate jet planes. I guess about 30 or 40 years ago, when corporations realized that they had a huge expense with these planes that were sitting on the tarmac doing nothing, and it made more sense to share it with other companies. And here we are today sharing properties in France. So how does it work? Okay, basically you've got 2 or more owners with some sort of a common objective. In our case, we're talking about one property, not a lot of different properties, but one property. And then the ownership of the asset is through some sort of legal entity. Now, in this case, we used to set up the ownership inside of a French company called an SCI, a Société Civile Immobilière, which we then discovered was not as efficient as ownership through a U.S., just straight to a U.S. corporation, which is called a nonprofit mutual benefit corporation. It's like the equivalent of a homeowner association. So what happens with this property is there's an agreement on the division of the usage and an agreement on the division of the costs. And that's basically how this works. So it's actually pretty simple. Now, there are pros and there are cons. I'm going to go through the cons first. because the cons are pretty obvious. You have a limited amount of control when you are one of a group of people. There's a certain level of inflexibility because of a usage calendar. So it's not like you own it yourself and you can go and come as you like. There are no particular tax benefits to it. Normally, there's no rental income that you can generate from it. There's normally no financing. You have to have cash to pay for it. And there are management fees to run the property. Those are the cons. As you can see, it's not a very long list because the list of benefits, pros, is actually really pretty substantial. You have a very low cash outlay, particularly considering the quality of the property. You have a high efficiency of use. So for instance, if you were to buy your own apartment in Paris, but only come 4 weeks a year, then the rest of the year it remains empty. And you're just paying the carrying costs for the other 11 months. In this case, you have high efficiency of use. Now, generally, because of the low cash outlay, you get a lot more property for your money. You would need a lot more money to own the same property in total. You have no mortgage to worry about. You have no rental issues to worry about. The costs on the property are shared among the other owners. So that's a big benefit. But you do have true ownership. You do actually own your share in a U.S. corporation. To sell the property, you can sell your share, and the cost to sell your share is actually very low. Could be zero, as a matter of fact. And we have found that the resale of shares can be very quick and very easy. We have a very good track record of the sale of shares. Now, the property can be sold in its entirety, but only with a unanimous vote. I've never seen it happen. I've never seen an apartment actually sell in its entirety. I think I hear someone walking who's not muted. Thank you very much. And it is a US-based ownership. Okay, now we do things our own way. We have very high standards. The properties that we offer have to meet a certain standard. And this is my mission. And that is to provide a really high desirable property that is well located, well designed, well decorated, well appointed. I call it a jewel. It has to be a property that is sexy, okay, really attractive, and is very different from the ordinary. I like to use a usage calendar that is attractive to a very wide variety of owners, and the calendar that we use for all of our properties is the same. We like it very much. It has also a very good track record. It's been in use for now 12 years by a variety of properties, and we've never had a complaint. The legal structure and the supporting documents must be perfect. I work with a really good attorney who is a specialist in this field, and the documentation is important to avoid any kind of conflicts among the owners. On top of that, you have to have good quality management so that the property runs smoothly and you eliminate any unnecessary obligations by the owner. That means that you as an owner can literally walk in with your suitcases and not think about anything, as if you're completely on vacation. So this is, you can own this the rest of your life and never have to do anything, including even attend a meeting, a membership meeting if you don't want to. But I like that the owners are like-minded. I think it's really important to put together a group of people who all understand these aspects, and that I know are going to like one another, even though they don't actually see each other at any point in time, other than during the meetings. The way our legal structure works is that it is this US nonprofit mutual benefit corporation, and everyone owns shares in that corporation. This has nothing to do with the French side. So the property is owned, okay? The transfer of the title is owned by the US corporation, and then the individual shareholders are the owners of that corporation. So we've actually been able to simplify this quite a bit. Now, we have created the documentation by a very experienced and qualified legal counsel. His name is Andy Serkin. You might be familiar with him. He's probably the best in the business. He's located in San Francisco and Paris, and I think he's also spends some time in Israel. And we are in close contact with him at all times. The purchase and the sale of the shares, as I said, is via the US corporation, and the ownership rules fall under California law. And the reason we use California is because California has very liberal timeshare laws that make it easier for this structure. And the shares can be bequeathed under US law. So you can certainly, in the event of death, you can bequeath your share to whomever you like. There's no issue with it. It does not fall under French inheritance rules. That's really important to understand. Now, there are different types of calendars, different usage plans. There are rotating plans, there are fixed plans. Sometimes there's a split between a rotating and a fixed, and what's called a hybrid. But the one that we like the most is a rotating plan. So let me go ahead and explain that. So we think it's the smartest calendar. It is 13 4-week shares. So 13 times 4 is 52 weeks. Each owner gets 2 weeks, and then 6 months later, 2 weeks. And then each year, the rotation moves forward by 10 weeks, so that every year, an owner gets 2 different seasons. Over the course of 13 years, it fully rotates. We started on a Thursday and we ended on a Thursday, believe it or not, because airfares are lower on Thursdays. And that was a decision that we made a long time ago, rather than making it a traditional Saturday to Saturday situation. And that seems to work very, very well. Now, what's great about this calendar is that the owners may trade their weeks with other owners very easily. So let's say you look at your calendar and you realize that next year, that week, you've got something important you need to do and you can't use it. So you can put a message out to all the other owners and say, would anyone like to trade their week with this week that we cannot use next year? And it's a very simple process. And the other thing that's really amazing is that for owners who want 4 consecutive weeks, because sometimes they do, if we place one person who wants 4 weeks next to another share that wants 4 weeks, all they have to do is trade their 2 that are next to one another, and they can each have 4 weeks. So in other words, it provides an awful lot of flexibility. Now, the calendar is not carved in stone. We set it up, but if the owners want to change the way the calendar works, they can certainly do that. Once all the ownership is there, they can make this decision to change the way it works. It's not a problem at all. And when you buy, you choose your share letter. So it's share letters A through, Patty, what is it, M, I think? A through M, right? You're on mute. So you have, as you buy your share, you'll know which letters are available and you'll make that choice. But the good news is that if you're not wild about the weeks you get this year, you're probably going to be thrilled about the weeks you get next year, because you always have this rotation. So we find that this calendar works very, very well. And here's what it kind of looks like. So for instance, if you have share letter, let's say B, because that's hot pink, you can follow the hot pink 2 weeks through every year for 13 years. So it's not too difficult to locate and to see when your shares, can everybody read that? Shake your head. Makes sense? Okay, great. Okay, now the way we price our shares is probably different than other companies that do this. We price them based on the cost of the development of the project. combine that with current other share market values. The price of shares is not 1/13 of the value of the property. One share costs more than 1/13 of the value of the property. But we like to compare the price of our shares with other fractional ownership property share prices. And we base it on the cost of the project itself. So it's not just a figure we pick out of the sky. And I don't like to overprice the shares. I think that's a big mistake. I think it's easy for developers to do, but it's not our MO. It's not how we work. Now, the one thing we do, though, is we price the first 4 shares at the lowest price. We price the second 5 shares at the average price, and we price the last 4 at the highest price. So the earlier you get in, the more money you save is basically how it works. It's kind of like an editioned artwork, where as they sell out, they become more valuable. And that's the idea of it. The other idea of it is, of course, to get the first few shares sold more quickly and for people to, like not sit on their hands too long, right? So we find that this works very, very well. Now, the way the purchase process is, we allow you to have time to look at the documentation. So you will say to us, I'm interested in looking at the documents. We send them to you for your review. You go through them and you sign the purchase contract, and then you return those documents to us. We will give you a formal acknowledgement of receipt of the documents. Then you're going to get another set of documents to review. You will have 14 days to review all the documentation. So that gives you the time to maybe give the docs to another lawyer to look through on your behalf. And if you have any questions, you can certainly come back to us on that. Then you sign and return the second set of documents. And at that point, you transfer a deposit to an escrow account that is held by our attorney. The deposit is usually somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10% of the price of the property. Once a minimum of buyers have completed steps 1 and 2, then we can conclude that your purchase can be completed, and we give you an official rate of exchange, because we're going to price this based on euros, and then you'll have to transfer the money in dollars based on whatever the rate of exchange is at the time. And once that happens and we're fully funded, then we issue the share certificates and your usage begins. So that's the basic process. Now, you as an owner will share in the costs of operating the apartment. And what that means is the taxes, the taxe d'habitation, taxe foncière, all of the utilities, the homeowner association charges by the building, the homeowner insurance, the housekeeping and the concierge and whatever maintenance there is, the management and accounting of the property, and all of the US and French tax filing costs and fees. And the last item is a reserve fund. We will take a small amount of money every single year for future maintenance costs, so that when there's an assessment that happens, so let's say the building decides that it has a roof repair and we have a certain portion of that, that money will be held on reserve. So this reserve fund is designed to cover anything we think will be happening in the future. And this is a very detailed accounting that we do, because we keep a list of all the actual furniture. We figure out how many years it's going to last. And then we put a value on it and create this reserve fund. It's usually somewhere in the 300 to 500 euro range, and you still own it. It's on your account as an owner, but it's held in the fund for future use. Now, the homeowner association that is formed as part, it's the one property, but it has its own homeowner association, much like a condo would. So you as shareholders agree to the bylaws, and you do that upon the purchase of the shares. And we have a nice heavy document that outlines exactly what we expect of you as owners. The co-owners form an ownership body that is self-governed. but with the assistance of the management coordinator. And we at present are the management coordinator, my group. Meetings are held annually, but can be held more often as needed. And the board, there's a board of 3 people who are initially appointed, then elected. And the board of directors can meet on their own and discuss things and then present it to the members later. The bylaws themselves, even after you sign them, they can be changed just by voting. So that's something all the members do. And we do create a Facebook group just specifically for your group of owners so that you can communicate among yourselves. So if you want to trade weeks, for example, all you have to do is put up a little message on your Facebook that says, we can't use this week. Does anybody want to trade? We have seen on the Facebook that owners will love to, they post pictures during their stay, they post restaurants they've been to that they recommend, and they really have a great time communicating about the property, and it's been a lot of fun and it's been really useful. Now, you can always resell your share. This is not the kind of investment like in a restaurant that you're betting on having a good return. This is, you're actually owning a piece of property. It's in the form of a share certificate. You can resell it. I have never resold a share for less than the owner paid for it. They have always made money. So, basically you're parking your money in a good solid place. You're having the usage of the property. The costs associated with it are minimal because it's really just a share of the operating costs. And if you were to rent this property instead of the ownership of it, it would cost you a whole lot of money. So this is a very inexpensive and efficient way of, having a little piece of France. So, when you resell your share, you can set your price. First, you make an offer to the other shareholders, and it's often, very often sold to someone else in the property who would like to have a second share, or through their own friends and associates, because your friends will probably want a share in it. So it's usually sold that way. And if not, I can sell it through our marketing efforts. There are other sales outlets. We're not the only thing. And the only cost is the legal cost to transfer the share certificate. And that's done with Andy Serkin. He charges about $1,000, and normally the buyer pays that, not the seller. So we find that the sale of the shares has been actually very easy and very fast. So our properties, I'm very proud of our properties because I like to create a property where it's missing absolutely nothing. It has to have a fabulous location. It has to have beautiful furniture, professionally decorated. I want the bathrooms to be luxurious. I want the kitchens to be complete. They have to be air conditioned. We supply a washer dryer. Basic flat screen TVs with satellite, hundreds of channels, English language channels, of course, Wi-Fi, high-speed internet connection, free long-distance telephones, and when possible, we like to provide some sort of owner storage lockers so that you can keep some things at the apartment and not have to, schlep them back and forth. I'm going to give you an idea about some of our properties. This one, the Le Jardin de la Promenade, currently does have shares available. We just launched this recently. It is a studio apartment. It's a little more than 31 square meters. I'm sorry, I don't have the square feet listed here, but if you multiply by 10.76, you get it. So let's say you multiply by 11. So it's about 350 square feet. It has a full bathroom with a large shower and a toilet in that bathroom. It has a very high quality queen size Murphy bed that, and I'm going to show you some pictures, that when the bed goes up, it's a sofa. When it comes down, it's a bed. It's very comfortable. This apartment has its own ground floor private garden, and it is directly on the Promenade des Anglais in Nice. It's beautifully located near the Magnon tram stop. There are buses outside. The bus stop is called Rosa Bonheur. And it's just a delightful property. As you can see, the price of the shares is very low. And let me show you some more pictures. So that's the building. This is the patio and garden. We have, since this picture was taken, added a table and chairs at the very end that are high so that when you're sitting there, you can have your coffee or your wine and look at the sea. This is the interior. That gives you an idea of what the couch is like. And behind that unit, that's the bed. So when the bed comes down, and those are all closets on either side. The glass sliding doors, by the way, we are outfitting with a screen, with a, like a bug screen, so that you'll be able to leave it wide open and not worry about bugs. You know, they don't use screens in France. The only people who have screens are Americans, but we're doing it. And this is the other side of that room. It's all brand new. Kitchen is fully equipped. Large screen TV. Oh, sorry. And I'm sorry, I guess I didn't, I should have put in a bathroom shot because the bathroom is quite lovely, but it's not there. I apologize. And this is another property that we have one share available. Is that right, Patty? You're on mute, Patty.
Yes, one resale share.
Okay, great. And that share is 89,700. It's share letter I. This is located in Villefranche-sur-Mer. It's front row. So if you see this photograph, you'll see what looks like an aqueduct. And it's the balcony up above that aqueduct. It's a 1-bedroom duplex. It's 38.86 square meters, Loire Carrez, which is the official size. It has a large, beautiful bathroom with a shower and a separate toilet. The bedroom has twin beds that are either twins or a queen. And the bedroom overlooks a beautiful fountain. There's a fountain right below it that's quite lovely. There's a sofa bed in the living room, so it can sleep up to 4. The balcony is large. It's 10 square meters. It's facing east with beautiful views of Cap Ferrat. And what's fantastic about this apartment, besides everything about it's wonderful, is that you're literally a few minute flat level walk. In spite of all the stairs in Villefranche-sur-Mer, you can walk level to the train station or to the parking lot. So that makes it very easy access in and out. And that, by the way, that's a resale share. What happened was the owner of that share decided to buy her own property because she wants to spend a lot more time in it. And that's the only reason that it's for sale. And here are some pictures. That's the picture from the balcony. Drop dead gorgeous. The balcony, by the way, is heated, so you can use it all year long. And we're working on adding an awning so that when it's really sunny, you can still be out there. This is what the kitchen looks like. When you walk in, you see the kitchen and you immediately see out to the view. Here's the living room and dining room. Since this was taken, some art has been added, some bookshelves have been added. So it's not really it's an earlier photograph. It's been enhanced. Beyond that door that's open is the bathroom with the beautiful aqua colored tile. And this is the bedroom, has a really large closet. It's very spacious. And that window is what overlooks the fountain. When you open the window, you hear the trickle of the water. It's quite nice. Okay, that's La Belle Terrasse, one share. Now, Le Palais du Soleil, we have one share available of it. This is located in Nice on Rue Massenet in the Carré d'Or district, which is the best district in Nice. It has 2 balconies, one that's has a sea view, one that's overlooking Rue de France, which is a pedestrian street. It's on the corner of 2 pedestrian streets. It's 1 block from the sea. It's a 2-bedroom with 2 bathrooms, one that has a tub, one that has a shower. It has 1 separate toilet. It has a sofa bed in the living room, so it sleeps 6 comfortably. And it is on the 2nd floor with a lift. There is a cellar, which we can use for storage. It is currently under renovation. It will be ready for January usage. I know that's only a couple weeks away, but it has been promised to me. And the contractor, I spoke to the contractor yesterday, and he said he wasn't going to send me any pictures because he couldn't wait for me to walk in with my big smile. Because I have to tell you that I'm really sorry that I didn't keep this apartment for myself, because it's going to be gorgeous. And it has a circular window that overlooks those streets. That unit where the TV is, we are having custom designed with a desk in it and drawers and cabinetry with a printer underneath. This apartment is missing nothing. That is an atelier wall. That's one of the bedrooms, and there will be shades to privatize that, but it's a way of feeling like you have more space. There's plenty of storage. You can see that even under the table, that is a what do you call that, Patty? It's a bench, you know,
A banquet.
a banquette. Thank you.
A banquet.
A banquette, exactly. Okay. We took down every single wall in this apartment in order to redesign the spaces. And this is what the floor plan now looks like. So there's a bedroom on either side of the living room. So that's really great for privacy. There's a washer dryer closet. I don't know if you can actually kind of get an idea how this is all going to work. The floors are terrazzo tile. It's designed by Martin Di Matteo. We've completely changed all the windows. It's the best windows money can buy, so that it's completely silent. It's air conditioned. There are 2 air conditioning units. It's drop dead heaven, and we have 1 chair available. And let me go back to that slide. 109, 700. That's the price of the last share. And it is share A, which means it's the January share. So it would be January and then July, right, Patty?
That sounds right.
Yeah, January and July. So if you can't get it within the next couple of weeks, which is probably not likely, at least you'd have a July usage. Okay, Le Charles 5. We just sold the last share of Le Charles 5. It's in Paris. It's on Rue Charles 5. It's a 1-bedroom. It's 28 square meters. It does have a full bathroom with a shower and a toilet, a queen size sleeper sofa, so you can sleep 4. It's on the 5th floor with 3 beautiful windows and a lift, of course, but there are no shares available. From these pictures you're seeing, some things have changed a little bit. The chairs at the table have been painted white. The chairs that are brown are now golden. That's been changed. We completely renovated this apartment, even though it had been renovated 2 years earlier. We did it again. We augmented the kitchen. We added the atelier wall. Here's the new kitchen. It's fully equipped. And let's see. So maybe you can see, I'm sorry, you guys, you can see that we added this atelier wall to separate the bedroom. So it's completely private. And that's the bathroom. So I'm sorry, but we don't have a share of that. But if you want to be on a list, for a possible resale share, do let us know. Now, La Lanterne du Marais also has no shares available. This is located in Paris on Rue du Roi de Sicile, right near the Saint-Paul Metro. It is a spacious 1-bedroom with almost 42 square meters. And it has 3 actual rooms. It has a full bathroom with a large shower and a separate toilet. There's a second separate toilet in this property. It has a queen size sleeper sofa, so it does sleep up to 4 comfortably. It's on the 1st floor with no lift, but that's only 1 up. And as I said, no shares at the moment. And this is basically what it looks like. There's the kitchen. You walk into the kitchen. And then it goes on to the living room and then the bedroom. It's sort of, it's a U shape. It's a really interesting design because it's a U shape. It has plenty of storage. And the owners love this apartment. Absolutely love it. And the location's amazing. And this one also, we have no shares available at the moment, Les Balcons Saint Paul. It's a much larger property. It's located right at Saint Paul on Rue Malher. It is a 2-bedroom, 69 square meter property. There are 2 bathrooms. One has a large tub and shower. The other has a shower. It has 1 separate toilet. There is a main bedroom with twins that create a queen bed. The second bedroom has a trundle bed sofa. So it's when it's not being used as a bed, it's just a sofa. And there is also a sofa bed in the living room. So you can sleep up to 6 in this apartment. It has an 11 square meter balcony that faces both south and east. It's a wraparound balcony. There are owner's closets that are just 1 flight up. What used to be the chambre de service, you know, the servants' quarters, we've turned into closets. There is a cave also, but unfortunately for you, no shares are available at the moment. And this is what it looks like. Martine also designed and decorated this property. It's very elegant, very beautiful. It has that curved wall. That's the sofa bed I was talking about. It's a trundle, so it pulls out and actually creates 2 twins. There's the tub. You can, it's like a swimming pool. That tub is so large. It's the truth. It's very deep. So if you want to soak, that's the place to do it. Okay. And now we have a new one that we have just now contemplating. It's in Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat, which is the most, other than Monaco, the most expensive real estate, most desirable real estate on the Riviera. It's on Avenue de la Libération, just in front of bus number 15. So it has really great convenient transportation, and it steps from the Port de Plaisance of Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat. So just steps from the port and the old town. It has beautiful views. It's 2 bedrooms, 58 square meters. It has 1 bathroom with a large shower and a toilet. One of the bedrooms has twins that also create a queen. The second bedroom has a double bed, and there will be a sofa bed in the living room, so it will sleep up to 6. The shares are not yet available. The usage is not going to start until January 2024. And what we need to know is if you're interested in this, so that we can decide whether we're going to proceed to go further or not. And that is the cap, Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat, that's sticking out there. That's what we're talking about. This is where the Rothschild, the Afrusi Rothschild home mansion is. That's the port. Absolutely beautiful. And so let's see, if you see Avenue de la Libération, I'm pointing to it, which of course is not helping any of you, because so you can see, I wish I could, but literally you can see a bus stop there, a little bus stop. And so you can see how close it is to the port and the old town. And that is what it currently looks like, the bathroom and the kitchen, which will not change, but we will be changing the rest of the apartment, which is why we're not showing you the other photos.
Right.
And that's basically
Adrian,
the presentation. Yeah, Patty?
Per Cap Ferrat, did you want to mention a price range?
Go ahead.
We're expecting the shares to be in like the 80,000 euro range.
Right,
So
somewhere between 80 and 90.
Quite a bargain. Yeah, it's quite a bargain for the location.
And for the size, for 2
And for the
bedrooms.
size.
That's
Yep.
right, for the size and for the location. Exactly. It's going to be quite a bargain, and it's going to be really beautiful. It does not, it has a very tiny sea view from the balcony, from the terrace, which is from there. but I cannot really say it has much of a sea view. But you're so close to the water that it really hardly matters.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just, that is a heavenly spot right there when you're sitting at
I
that.
think it is.
Yeah, if Patty were there, she'd never be leaving. I can tell you right now.
Yeah.
So that's basically the presentation. I'm gonna stop sharing now so that we can open this up for discussion, and you guys can unmute yourselves. And we've got 20 minutes for questions.
Right. I mean, there's a couple questions in the chat, and if those of you that have asked questions in the chat just want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask, feel free.
Okay, so Patty, why don't you go ahead and call on them then?
Okay. Brooke, you had a question about reselling a share. Is Brooke around?
What's the question?
Okay, so anyway, so her question was, can you resale for us? Do you take a commission? Do we pay a commission if another owner buys?
Okay, that's actually a great question, because if the another owner buys, then we take no commission because we haven't done anything. We haven't done any work. If we market it for you, then yes, we do.
Thank you.
And we have a minimum amount, but we build it into the price so that it doesn't actually cost you. Okay.
Okay, hang on one second. There was a question from Barbara Koshevar. She, this was about the Jardin de la Promenade. Is there high walking traffic outside the patio?
No, there's not any kind of traffic. One of the things about the promenade used to be famous for its bumper to bumper traffic. That has completely changed. The new tramway and the electric bus system and everything that the city is doing to take the traffic off the prom is working. Eventually, I believe the promenade is not going to be an avenue at all. I think they're really working towards getting the traffic off the prom completely. Right now, there is a minimal amount of traffic, but it's, when you're inside, you don't hear any of it. When the doors are closed, you hear none of it at all. It's perfectly silent. It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay, and then there's a question about, is there officer and director insurance as part of the homeowners association?
I don't even know what that is. Officer and director insurance. Who asked that question? Tell me, what is that?
Yeah.
I can tell you what it is.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't ask the question. It just protects you. I mean, I'm a lawyer in California, so it's very popular here for board members to have that. If a decision is made by the board, you are protected if somebody sues for a decision made by the board. It's really just a liability.
I understand. No, we have never encountered anything like that whatsoever. Not among 13 people who love this one property, which I'm sure is a bit different.
And my thoughts are too, the board is very limited in what decisions they can make.
Right.
It's all spelled out in the bylaws.
Right.
So they probably do not have enough power, so to speak, that would cause any problems.
And also, sorry.
Yeah,
and it would happen in France. So it would be taken care of there, and any insurance here probably wouldn't cover there.
No, not really, because this is US based. Even though the property is located in France, everything is pretty much US based.
Cool.
Yeah.
That wasn't my question, but
No,
I
but
heard that.
fortunately,
Thank
I've
you.
never seen anything like that happen. Okay, what else? I see one. Is there an opportunity to swap between cities' locations? We have several owners who own in both places, who own a share in Nice and a share in Paris, for example, so that they can enjoy both. You could always allow your friends and family to use your shares. Now, we do not have a system set up that enables a share among all of the properties. We haven't developed that, but you could easily do that. If you get to know the other owners of the other properties, then I don't see why you couldn't just switch your shares or yourselves outside of, outside of the workings of the property itself.
Hey, as a follow-up to that, are you permitted to list the property on an external site such as Third Home? Or do you need permission from the board?
To rent it?
Yeah, so let's say if you can't use your 2-week increment.
Rentals are
to
not
list that?
allowed. No. Rentals are
what-
not allowed. You are allowed to let friends and relatives use the property. You take responsibility for anything that happens while they're there. But the bylaws, the way they are written now, do not allow rentals. Now, the ownership group could change that.
Right, but it's slightly different. This is, you would list the house on one of these sites like Third Home. So you're not renting it. It's like more of a swapping. It's like a third-party swap site. Is that allowed?
I don't think so.
No, because basically you're still allowing someone that is not familiar to you or anyone else use the property. And the other owners really aren't happy about that.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
The usage is intended for the owners.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay, Vincent has a question about parking outside of the Promenade apartment. And there is some street.
Yes, there's street parking. Laura and I park
Yeah.
all the time right on the
Yeah.
prom.
Yeah,
There's parking in the neighborhood, there's parking on the prom, and there's also public lots.
mhm.
But,
Okay, thank you.
but you don't need a car in Nice. No reason to have a car when you're in Nice. Now, if you want to travel from Nice, then it makes sense to maybe rent a car. But once you're in Nice, there's really no reason to have a car.
Right, and I was just wondering if I did have a car, would it be any difficulty parking there regularly? I know a lot of, I feel like a lot of hotels and other eateries are usually along that street, so I wasn't sure what the parking was like.
Now, the parking's actually quite good at that location because it's the end of the prom where it's not touristy and there's not a lot of retail there.
Oh, okay, thank you. That's good
Mhm.
to know.
So it's also a good location if you have a car because getting in and out of Nice is easy,
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
right?
yeah, I'm
Mhm.
familiar with that spot. Okay,
Right, right. So it's really a wonderful location.
Yeah, it actually really is. Okay, any other questions?
Adrian, I wrote down a couple questions here, if that's okay.
Sure.
First one is, I think I know the answer to this, but is there any need to get a French bank account because everything is US based?
Nope. Don't need a
Okay.
French bank account. Isn't that a wonderful thing?
And
Now, we set
you'd
up,
be the
just so you
management-
know, wait, let me just go one further for you. We do set up a US bank account in the name of the property. It already has one. I mean, they all have them. So that all the dues are paid into that one bank account and everything's managed out of that.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
The other one is, I've got a couple more here, but the management coordinator, you're the management coordinator. You said that would be kind of, it seems like maybe for the time being, if you wanted to move someone else into the management coordinator position, is that something us as owners would have to vote on?
Basically, we offer a management agreement and the board has to vote, has to agree to the contract. Okay.
Okay.
there is, I think, a 6-month notification in that agreement. But if you decide for someone else to manage it, it's no problem. You just fire us and go find someone else.
Well, actually, it was kind of the opposite. I figured you'd do a great job, and what if we didn't want you to leave? So,
Well, we're here. Let's
I
put
guess
it
the other
that way.
question,
It's a very, the management of the property is pretty complicated.
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So, and you know, for us, it's almost like a well-oiled machine at this point, and you've got a team of 5 of us. There's me and Patty and the concierge, whoever's on the ground. We have a full bookkeeper, Nicole, and I have an administrative assistant on this. Her name is Elizabeth. And so there's literally 5 of us that are managing the properties.
Okay. Last one is, are you looking? My biggest interest would be X in Paris. Are you continually looking in Paris, and is X on your radar?
No, X could be on the radar. You know, the trick is finding the right property. That's the hardest part. Now, I am not like actively seeking X at the moment, but I might be. I do have someone who's come to me who might want to invest in a property, a relative of mine. And if I were to do another property, I probably would do something in Provence. And that would be a good choice. The Cap Ferrat property happened to just land on our doorstep because the developer of that property is Christina Collier, who also co-developed the Villefranche property with me. She's, you know, she knows everything there is to know about this area of the Riviera. And she's a designer. She does a gorgeous job. And it came to our doorstep and we said, yeah, this is pretty sexy. You know, I mean, steps from the port in Cap Ferrat is about as good as it gets. So that's why we're probably going to proceed with it, depending on how much interest we have. You know, so far we've had a good amount of interest in it. So it's looking positive. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's all I have. I appreciate it.
Okay, no problem. Anyone else with questions? Go ahead, Linda.
Hi there again. Now I do have a question, and it kind of goes to what Stephen was saying. So what other areas? I mean, you're not actively looking at other areas, so it's kind of what comes to you, or Southwest France, Dordogne, Brittany. I don't know. Are you looking?
Well, as I said, I think Provence would be our next stop.
Okay.
I mean, if I was going to go outside of Paris or outside of Nice and immediate vicinity, Provence would be the next most desirable. You know, Americans tend to congregate in those 3 places in France.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paris, Riviera, Provence. The rest of France does see some American business, but not as much.
Cool.
You know.
And in more rural properties or small village properties, or will it generally always be in a city?
I would think that if I were to do a property in Provence, I think X would probably be a very logical choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I personally prefer X over Avignon, for example. X is a really good transportation hub. From X, you have easy access into the Luberon and to all sorts of other parts. I mean, it's a really great location. It's 30 minutes from the Marseille International Airport. That makes it desirable. So I think X is a really good choice. And maybe, you know what, maybe I'll do one.
Thank you.
See, you guys are giving me the idea. Anybody else? Oh, come on. You know everything you need to know?
Let me see if something else has come in. I'm sorry, I was sending a direct message to somebody. Let's just see. I know we have so few questions.
Well, maybe that's because the presentation was so thorough. Is that it? Okay,
It was really good.
they're giving me nods at least.
Yeah, it's a really good presentation.
Okay,
Thank you.
so here's the thing, the question is it right for you? You know, I have one person on the chat that says definitely not for them because they want more time. Clearly, you know, it makes sense to maybe buy 2 shares, but if you own more than 2 shares, then you probably might as well own your own property. You know, at some point, it just doesn't make sense. We do have several owners who own 1 share in the South and 1 share in Paris, and that's like this perfect situation. Because they're very different places and it gives them the opportunity to enjoy both, you know, without having to spend a lot of money. Let's face it. And we really have very few shares left, and I don't know when the resale shares are going to come up. So right now we've got 1 share in La Belle Terrasse, which the owners just love this property. They sit on that balcony on that terrace and they just don't want to leave. Okay, that's a gorgeous one. We just sold the last share of Le Charles Cinq, and that's a great property. So I'm sorry about that. We have 1 share in Le Palais. Now the Palais property, the one in Nice, we basically sold all the shares in 5 days. It was amazing. And then one person pulled out, share letter A, which I have to tell you, I'm not that unhappy about because it gives us a couple of weeks in the beginning to iron out the bugs. And I'm going to go stay there myself, sleep there and check everything out and make sure everything's working properly. Because, you know, it'll be right out of the box. And I mean, right out of the box. We're probably going to be hanging the curtains the day before. And so that, you know, that's kind of okay with us, but that share should get sold very quickly because it's really a beautiful property and it's beautifully located and it's going to be drop dead amazing. Let's see, we have one, what else do we have, Patty? We have
a question about check-in and check-out time.
Check out is 10 a.m. and check in, I think, is 2. Is that right? It's in the bylaws. Like a hotel, to give enough time for housekeeping. There is housekeeping every week, built in, fresh linens, all that stuff. Our concierges have been with us for a long time. They're adored. They're well trained. We have Luz Diaz in Paris, and we have Ronnie Sexton in the South. So,
and sometimes that can vary. I mean, if you arrive early, you can make arrangements to leave your luggage.
Right.
Sometimes an owner may not have stayed there full time and the apartment's available early. And if your flight gets in at 8 a.m., you can go right in.
Right. That's right.
Same thing with checkout. If nobody's coming right away, then you can have some flexibility with checkout. But you'll work all that out with the concierge.
With the concierge, right? So it's very personal. It's very personal. You'll have your own key. Right. You'll come and go as you like. It's your property. You can move the furniture around if that's what you want to do, and they do it. And that's one of the wonderful things. Yeah, Sally.
How many locations do you have in Paris available and not available? How many locations do you have?
Right now, in Paris, none, right?
We have no shares available in Paris.
Right, but what about buildings? How many do you have altogether, even though that are not available?
4.
1, 3, 4.
Okay. All right.
Well, not counting the Palace. That's an older property.
Oh, right.
That's an older property. So
that's an older one. Right. Yeah.
Right. I've developed 5 total in Paris, 4 of which were within the last 2 years. Or 3 years. Right.
Okay, thanks.
COVID was a bit of a hiccup.
Yeah. So we have a question from Sarah. Is the procedure open for US citizens only? No. Anybody can buy the share. Right. Yeah.
No, it's just that it's set up under US law. That's all. Right. No, we have lots of non-US owners. They tend to be Australian or New Zealand because this is just not,
Canadian.
it's not a British concept. They just don't do it.
Right. Right, and we have Canadian
We
owners
have,
too.
Canadians, of course, North Americans. When I say Americans, I mean,
Right.
Northern
Thank you.
Northern Western Hemisphere. And that's our time. So if there's any other
Yeah.
questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not, we're just gonna say, have a wonderful holiday. So now's your chance, speak up. Okay.
And feel
Patty?
free to,
Thank you.
feel free to email us at info@adrianleeds.com
Right.
and I can answer your questions.
And thank you all very, very much for participating.
Yes,
And I
thank
hope this was
you.
helpful and
Thank
have a
you.
Great
wonderful,
having you all
wonderful,
here.
wonderful
Nice to see
holiday.
you.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye-bye,
Thank
everybody.
you
Happy
all. Bye.
holidays.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Too late.